Joining me now are Dr. Emma Smith from Cancer Research UK, Adrian Webb, who had pioneering treatment for skin cancer, and Ali Stunt from Pancreatic Cancer Action. Good evening to you all. And Emma, when it comes to cancer, it's not often we get a chance to start with a bit of good news, but today we can. Death rates are coming down. Why?
It is good news, isn't it? 10% over the last 10 years, which is a big step forward. Research has been absolutely at the heart of this. We've seen improvements in early detection, diagnosis, and of course treatments that mean more people are surviving than ever.
Is it because people are donating more money, people are wiser about looking for signs of cancer, doctors are more genned up on looking for those ones that are hard to find? What is the reason?
I think all of the above. We've made improvements in all areas. Of course, we absolutely couldn't have done it without our supporters. We rely on their generosity to fund all the life-saving research, but we've made huge steps forward in treatment. We understand cancer so much better now than we ever did before. The genetics, the faulty molecules that are involved, and as a result, we've got better treatments.
It's not that long ago we were being told we were 20 years behind other countries like Italy and Austria in terms of cancer survival rates, though.
We're not so far behind, but we're certainly lagging behind some countries. Yes, it is true. We have a long way to go. And I just want to assure people that there's a lot of research actually going on. There's not a simple answer. I can't tell you one thing that's going to fix care for cancer patients in the UK, but there are certainly things that we can do to improve the situation, yes.
We're hearing about investments in a London Cancer Hub, 10,000 scientists, clinical and support staff being brought together. Inevitably, they're going to come up with cures, you would hope. Are those cures, are those medicines coming on stream quickly enough?
Yes, and of course, don't forget the Crick. We've got the Francis Crick Institute opening soon in London itself. It does take a little while to get treatments into the clinic, but that's exactly what we want to do at Cancer Research UK, is speed up this process. We're doing a lot of translational research, so that's where we fund the discovery all the way through the development and get it into the clinic as quickly as possible.
Adrian, you have benefited from pioneering treatment for skin cancer. When you were told you had skin cancer, I know it was your wife who cajoled you into going and get that mole checked out. When you were told, what went through your mind?
Initially, obviously, it's a massive shock, very difficult to accept. I think when I overcame what felt like 30 minutes of tears, which was probably 30 seconds, I was very fortunate to have the support, counselling and the guidance through Dr. Neil Stevens at the QE Hospital in Birmingham. Again, he introduced me to immune therapy type programmes, asked me if I would consider obviously joining one, and of course I jumped at the opportunity.
Let me just ask Emma what immunotherapy is, because people have heard of radiotherapy and chemotherapy. Immunotherapy is the new one. What does it do?
They were all in the headlines last year, and they're showing a great deal of promise. They basically re-educate the immune system and teach it that the cancer's a threat. It shouldn't be there. And then it gets our own immune cells to destroy the cancer cells.
Adrian, plenty of people have fear of not just the cancer itself, but the treatment they then have to go through to try and cure themselves of it. What preconceptions did you have about what you were about to do to get rid of this skin cancer?
It's a situation really, and there's just simply two opportunities, two reasons. You either go for it or you give up. For me, I was obviously really excited, I suppose, that I had an opportunity, a choice to make that was actually life-changing for me and give me hope.
And this immunotherapy didn't exist 5 years ago, and 5 years ago with your diagnosis, well, things could have been very different.
It would have been, yeah, and I'm quite open to that information. I'm afraid 5 years ago, without the support of modern immune type therapy, certainly for myself, melanoma type sufferers, but it's given me a fantastic quality of life. Believe it or not, I live quite a normal, active life.
It's great to hear it. It's great to hear. And Ali, you've survived pancreatic cancer. The story there, though, is different. Survival rates are not improving. Why do you think that is with pancreatic cancer?
Well, there are several reasons. Firstly, it is a very difficult disease to diagnose, but fundamentally, pancreatic cancer is really just not one of those sexy cancers that's received the level of attention or the funding, frankly. In the last 40, 50 years, it's been chronically underfunded, and in 2014, it received just 1.4% of overall cancer research funding.
It's the fifth biggest cancer killer in this country, but it's only getting 1.4% of the funding.
It's actually tipped by research by Cancer Research UK to overtake breast cancer as the fourth leading cause of cancer death in the UK.
We'll get onto the funding in a second. I want to pick up on what you said about sexy cancers. Of course, people hear about those celebrities like Kylie Minogue have breast cancer, and they're all aware of it and aware what to do, and they can see where it affects. And the same with testicular cancer and other skin cancer as well. When it comes to pancreatic cancer or embarrassing ones like bowel cancer, do you understand why people are reluctant to talk about it?
Well, people in pancreatic, frankly, are not able to talk about it because we don't have people surviving. Those of us who are diagnosed in time for surgery have a chance of surviving 5 years that's 10 times greater than those who don't. But we need to get those people diagnosed in time, and we don't have the living advocates. We need people, whether they're celebrities or normal people like me, to actually stand up and say, I'm a pancreatic cancer survivor, and more of you can survive if only we get diagnosed sooner. And that's where the level of funding and research needs to be focused.
We're really glad you're here to talk about it, of course. Competing for the same cash, Emma, it feels like a lot of the big charities and some of the smaller ones are doing, and only 1.4% of cash going to fight the 5th biggest cancer killer in this country. It seems very out of kilter.
It's something we are desperately trying to change. We made it one of our big strategic priorities last year because we appreciate that it is a thing where there's an unmet need. There really is the need for more funding.
And also, talking of money, can the NHS afford cancer? We've seen the response to expensive cancer drugs like Avastin and Abraxane being delisted from being available on the health service.
There's a lot of work that both the NHS, NICE, the way that drugs are approved, and of course pharma companies and the prices that drugs are sold for. But I think one important thing is looking at how we can actually improve cancer care and make it cheaper. For example, diagnosing cancer earlier would actually save the NHS a lot of money too and make treatments easier for patients.
I would just like to ask you one more question before we finish, and it is about how many cases are preventable. We said there, is it luck or is it lifestyle, or what's the balance?
It is a bit of both, unfortunately. The primary reason that more of us are getting cancer is because we're living longer. But having said that, more than 4 in 10 cancers could be prevented through lifestyle choices that people can make. It's not a guarantee that you won't get cancer, but it does dramatically reduce your odds. Just for example, not smoking, cutting back on alcohol, a healthy diet, maintaining a healthy weight, taking care in the sun. All of these things are things that we can do now we have the information to help reduce our own risk.
OK, Emma, Adrian and Ali, thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Now, while progress is being made against most cancers, there is another area of concern. More men die of the disease than women. 85,000 men, in fact, died in 2013, compared to 77,000 women. The gap is closing, but the question is, why is there any difference at all?